I debated long and hard on how to open this video. This game almost gave me nightmares. This game is made for two kinds of people. This is just Nier Automata at home. But I decided to open this video with a question. What makes a game great? I believe that perhaps not the definitive factor, but one of the deciding factors is it good despite its flaws? And this game is not. This game is okay despite its flaws, which isn't a bad thing. Did I enjoy this game? Absolutely. Does it have flaws? Oh, by golly, does it have its flaws? And that's the point of this video. Two more things right before we really get into it. One, there is a minor gore warning for this video. It's not that graphic, really, but it is visceral, both to you and the robots. Gore can be turned off in the settings, but for the entirety of this background footage, gore is turned on, and I will be showing you some of that later in the video. So if you don't like that, feel free to click off, or if you want to check this game out yourself but don't want to see the gore, you can turn that off in the settings. And second, I did enjoy my time with this game. All the stuff I'm going to be dunking on this game for is purely constructive criticism, and I can't wait to see what the team comes up with in the near future. With that being said, let's get into it. Now, like any good game apologist, before we get into the good, we have to understand the bad. And I want to start with the controls. The controls, I flip-flop back and forth on the controls a lot, because when it's good, it's pretty good. But when it's bad, it's bad. A lot of times when you miss a jump, or when you fall off a ledge, it's not the feeling of, ah, dang it, I missed. It was more like, why did the game do that? That should not have happened. A lot of times when you jump, the game will send you too far or won't send you far enough and stop your momentum in midair. And there were a lot of moments where, in an attempt to absorb impact, I end up just completely rolling off the platform, which I think have been very easily solved if you added a ledge grab mechanic or a ledge hanging mechanic so that you don't constantly walk off edges. Because I found myself constantly slowing down and being very careful around different edges, as you can see here. One other mechanic that I think would have benefited this game a lot is a sprint mechanic, because there are multiple, like a dozen different points where you're literally just running across a big beam like this. And it's a beautiful scenery, don't get me wrong, but would it have been too much to add a sprint button? Look at me go! I'm zooming! Okay, upon a second playthrough, I learned that you can actually wall grind across this orange edge here, but I feel like they should have made that a bit more obvious. It is a lot faster. Don't do what I did. Use the edge and wall grind. Another thing that I flip-flop back and forth on a couple of times is the graphics, because a lot of it is more pixelated than others. Like, if you look at the ground here, it has a very heavily pixelated look, but if you look at the pipe, it's a lot less pixelated. Some things are more cuey than others, and it's an odd contrast, but it's not jarring. I think it could be slightly improved upon in a future game. It's not bad, but it's something I feel like I should mention. Also, this is literally just Minecraft sand texture. Is this like a certain pattern? Or is like Perlin noise pattern? Or is this literally just Minecraft sand texture? Because that is all I can see here. The last gripe I have with this game, or like the last main gripe I have, is with its level design. Because it can be very good sometimes, but there are a lot of points where I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off because I have no idea where to go next. It can be very open and confusing. I'm not saying you need a big red arrow pointing to where you need to go next, but I am saying that it would have helped a lot. Having some kind of more obvious indicator would have been very useful in some of these areas. Now let's talk about the cutscenes. I think this will make a pretty good transition from the bad into the good stuff, because there's only one bad thing about the cutscenes that I don't really like, and that is the excessive butt shots. And I mean excessive butt shots. Almost every single cutscene in this game has one shot that's purely just for male gaze. Like, we get it, the woman's hot, but you don't have to shove it down our throats. This game desperately wants you to be infatuated with this woman.
Here! Look at it! It's ugly, isn't it? You look at it!
Hello.
You look at it!
Hi.
Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it! I want all of you to look at it!
And then there's that cutscene.
There's dudes out there that are into feet. Feet.
This is by far one of the funniest cutscenes. Because, well, one, Star Wars reference.
I don't like sand.
And two, my brother walked in on this cutscene. Of all the cutscenes, my brother walked in on this cutscene. And she just shoves it in your face. Just straight up. I kid you not. When my brother walked in, I flipped a coin to choose which option I would click on. I got lucky, but seriously, this is 7 different levels of unnecessary. Aside from the sex appeal of this obviously sexy woman, there is a lot of good in the cutscenes. I'm not going to get too into it because I want to save the story for later, but the cutscenes are some of the best parts of the game because you're drip-fed a lot of the juicy lore of this world, and it leaves you wanting a lot more. So I will get into that later, and I will give a spoiler warning when I get into those cutscenes, but that's where the good starts. The cutscenes leave a lot for you to look forward to, and I'm not talking about the sexy woman. I'm talking about, like, the actual lore. Trust me. Alright, now we can really get into the good stuff. Let's start with the combat, because it is absolutely visceral. Everything about the combat is beautiful. From the melted metal between your slices, to the sparks given off when you parry an attack, to the oil that just bathes you. It's so good. It feels unfathomably good to knock back buzzsaws flying at you with a perfect parry. Boom, bam. Just like boom, bam. And completely tear robots in half. It's... oh my gosh. And when I say everything dies in one hit, that includes you too. It did take me a minute to get used to the parry window, but once you get it, you get it. And it feels so good. And not just on normal enemies either. You can parry the bosses in this game. I'll get into the bosses a little bit later. I just want you to know that you can do that now. There isn't a lot of variety in enemies. There's the standard excavator grunts. There's these flying tentacle dudes that throw buzzsaws at you. And then there's these guys. These guys are fun. But that's basically it. Those are the only 3 enemies you get throughout the entire game. And then there's the bosses. Which is kind of a missed opportunity, because it would have been really great to see miniature versions of the bosses as you build up hype to fight them. They do a really good job of hyping up the bosses. They'll tease them throughout some of the levels, and that's really cool. But I would love to have seen, like I said, miniature versions of the bosses that you fight throughout the levels as you get to said bosses. They do use the three enemies they come up with pretty well, but they're used sparingly, and the battles don't really change that much. Just the environment you're in changes around the enemies. So I think if there is another game in the future, they should add more enemy types, because the ones they had were really good, they just needed more really good ones. If that makes sense. I don't know if I worded that the best. Alright, now let's actually get into the bosses. Now, just like the rest of the game, with all the bosses, there's good and there's bad. And one of the main things I have against the bosses is that despite all being visually unique and threatening in their own way, they're all basically the same thing.
We are same, but different.
Every boss in the game, with the exception of one, is just a different flavor of parry, climb inside, and shred from the inside. You don't spend a lot of time fighting the boss than you do just kind of climbing inside and tearing it up, which is really cool in concept, but kind of a missed opportunity. And I want to emphasize that with one of my favorite bosses in the game, the Excavator. Each boss is about 5 to 10 minutes long, depending on how good you are at the point where you start fighting it. For the Excavator, you gotta parry its claw, then you climb up, and once you tear up the outside a little bit, you go inside, then you tear up the inside a little bit, and then I guess you take out his wheels. You could take out the wheels first and then parry its claw, but basically that is what you do. It can sometimes be annoyingly hard to lock onto the sides in order to chop them up. And once you get inside, it sets up another point that I have about these bosses, is that they don't have any phases. It's just one long phase. There's no switch up in how you fight them. If you die, you just kind of restart, and you gotta start from where you left off. There's no change in phases. In this spot right here, when you tear up the swivel, you do a full loop around it, and you basically cut the thing in half. But it doesn't fall off. It doesn't change anything. And I think it would have been really dang cool if the whole top fell off of the Excavator, and it started like a second phase. There's a lot of moments like that that just feel like missed opportunity. With those two pet peeves out of the way, I want to talk more about the good of these bosses. And one of the main things that is really good with every boss in this game is the sound. Because when you hear it, you feel it. The parry mechanic carries so much weight in this fight, but it carries it so well that I don't even care. The sound of brick and stone crumbling around you, the impact between the chainsaw and the claw, and the vibrating, visceral goodness that is the chainsaw as it grinds across the side. It's just, oh my gosh, the sound is done so well. Even in non-boss fight areas, the music and the sound is just so good. There is never a point where I'm not impressed by the sound. And the scale is just as good. When I say this game is big, I mean it is incomprehensibly massive. As you climb higher and higher through each section of this map, the arenas that you fight these behemoths in just get smaller and smaller, and it's visually beautiful. Look down there. That's the first boss you fight, and it feels so infinitesimal compared to where this is now. You cannot possibly comprehend how big and vast this megastructure is, and I love it. I love it so much. Alright, you've been sitting down for like 10 to 15 minutes now. We're about to get into the story, so take a moment, pause the video, go grab some water, go grab some Oreos. This is your spoiler warning, so if you want to play this game and experience the story for yourself before I basically explain it all to you and give my review on it, then go do that right now, because it's story time. And don't forget your water.
Failure is forbidden.
Failure is forbidden.
The game opens with this conversation between you, Slicer P, and Operator G. Operator G tells you that there's a lot of interference with the area and they won't be able to operate the drone for much longer. And then the drone goes out.
Not this again.
After a few unsuccessful attempts, she does manage to get the pod working again, and from this point on, you are the pod, and you also serve as the camera for the game. In a lot of the cutscenes, you'll have these two dialogue options to choose from. They don't really do much for the story, just change slightly what kind of dialogue she has, and it doesn't change much, so I'll probably be glossing over most of that in this retelling. There is one dialogue option that I find pretty funny, and that's in the break cutscene. I love the contrast between the two dialogue options you get per cutscene, because you're either unnecessarily infatuated with her, or just really sick of her BS. So were all the other times you slacked off not actually a break for you? We're falling behind schedule, you know that, right? Besides, this is a dangerous place for a nap. Honestly, you've been committing a lot of violations.
I love you.
Okay, jokes aside, let's actually get into the story. Slicer P enters this megastructure to kill everything that moves, and to look for something called the Alpha Structure. We're not told exactly what it is, but it has something to do with what's controlling all of the machines you're sent to kill. And as you go through each cutscene, she drip feeds you through these one-sided conversations about her job, her rank as P, and other stuff that just trickle little bits of lore into a world. And I think that's really cool. It's a really good way to get the lore into the game, even if it's telling and not showing. There are a lot of scenes where she'll drop something and just not elaborate on it a lot, like overwrites. She talks about overwrites and how they're caused by machines, or possibly caused by Tech, the company that makes Orby and all the other orbs you collect in the game. She just kind of drops that and it doesn't tell us more, and it leaves us wanting a lot more because there's so much more to learn about this world that she lives in. She also talks about the other slicers with her during her previous jobs, like Slicer Q, possibly even Slicer Z, and how she's content with her rank being right near the center as Slicer P. We're never actually told what her real name is, though. We're just known to her as P. We're also told about how slicers have a fate worse than death, and that's why failure is forbidden. That is shown to us, or at least teased in some way, what that fate is at the end of the game, which is some kind of virus. At the end of the game, she takes off her gloves and shows this kind of metallic virus taking over her hand, and she reiterates, failure is forbidden, a fate worse than death. And then they just kind of leave it at that, which is really a shame because, like I said, there is so much more to this world that we could learn and find out, and it's just left at these vague implications. And I really want a sequel to this game because there's, again, so much to learn and there's so much that could be explored. They are going to make a sequel, right? You're not just going to leave us hanging with that teaser at the end, right? Isn't that right, regular studio? In conclusion, if a game is great because it is good despite its flaws, then this game is good because it is okay despite its flaws. There are a lot of redeeming factors to this game, but there are also a lot there is to improve on. The gameplay could use a little bit of work, the bosses could have had a little bit more time in the oven, I could go on, but I did like my time with this game, and I absolutely would recommend you play it because I'm willing to bet you'll have a good time with this game too. This game already has a huge amount of traction from a lot of different fans, and I'm hoping that traction gets it a sequel, because a sequel could improve on so much from this game. So please, Top Hat Studios and regular studios, make us a sequel. Do us that little favor, because I'm pretty sure you want it almost as much as we do. Oh, and when I said this game was gonna give me nightmares, I'm talking about these stupid mines. I'm talking about these mother flippin' mines. These mines are absolutely gonna give me nightmares. With that being said, next video probably gonna be maybe a short Minecraft video, but more than likely either Schrodinger's Cat Burglar or Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. I don't know if I might try and squeeze in a Minecraft video in between Legacy and this one. Well, we shall see. We shall see.